More and more information is coming out on how the Obama administrations, Barack Obama and John Kerry, were involved in the architecture of this condemnation of Israel and the United Nations resolution, give us land or there will be war. John Kerry gave us some very great pointers, and to be with us to discuss some of his great wisdom of John Kerry, we have an update with Nehemia Gordon. And Nehemia, good to have you with us again.
Hey, Michael, shalom. It's great to be back and talk about what's going on. It's really unbelievable. You know, recently John Kerry gave this interview to CNN's Christiane Amanpour, and he says, I'm reading here, I thought, frankly, it was inappropriate for a president-elect. This is after Donald Trump, just before he got into office, had criticized Angela Merkel, who has destroyed the European Union by bringing in 1.1 million Muslim refugees, really undermined the European Union, led to the Brexit. So Trump said that was just like a disaster, and Kerry responded. He said, I thought it frankly inappropriate for a president-elect of the United States to be stepping into the politics of other countries in a quite direct manner. This is the same John Kerry who, as we're about to discuss, sent $350,000 to an organization to undermine Benjamin Netanyahu, and actually was meddling in the Israeli elections, the exact thing they're accusing the Russians of doing.
That's right, through the U.S. State Department. And Kerry was in charge. At $350,000, I guess it's really $349,276, I guess.
Of U.S. taxpayer money.
That's right, taxpayer money that was given to this organization called what?
It was called One Voice, led by this guy named Nimrod, and their stated purpose was anybody but Netanyahu.
That's right.
Can you even imagine if Vladimir Putin sent $350,000 to an American organization that's stated purpose was anybody but Clinton, or anyway meddling in U.S. affairs and U.S. internal elections?
Right.
And so this One Voice organization built up a campaign infrastructure using U.S. taxpayer money, and then they immediately deployed that infrastructure against Benjamin Netanyahu in the March 2000.
That's right. See, the grant was given to them for a specific moment, part in time. And that is when they built the entire infrastructure to attack Netanyahu. And then when the grant time was over, then they immediately employed everything that they had built. And so before Congress, they can say that we are not guilty because the State Department did not tell us what we could or could not do after the money was spent with what we built during that time.
Yeah.
These are the kind of crooked, deceiving politicians. And John Kerry, of course, I mean, you know, talk about talking out both sides of his mouth. This guy cannot tell the truth. And what happened with Kerry, unbelievable meddling.
Yeah.
They took American taxpayers' money. Now this is not a secret in Israel, is it?
Oh, this has been something that's been discussed for quite some time. But what the headline here is, Michael, is the U.S. Senate subcommittee did an investigation and they found out this is true.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the things that they're saying technically it wasn't a violation of U.S. law. That might be the case, but you're meddling in the internal election affairs of an ally. You're doing exactly what you're accusing Russia of doing, and in fact, something much worse. You're openly sending money to campaign against an ally in their internal elections. Israel's a democracy, and we have elections, and they're spending money to create an election infrastructure. I mean, it's just imagine what the response would be if they found out that Vladimir Putin had sent money to build up the campaign infrastructure of the Republican Party. It would be the end of the Republicans. And look, the organization is called One Voice, which I think is really interesting. We have this story, of course, in Genesis chapter 10 and 11 about the Tower of Babel, the Migdal Bavel, the Tower of Babel, and it's led by this man. According to some traditions, the leader of that was a man named Nimrod, and because his name means in Hebrew, let us rebel. But in any event, this One Voice organization in Israel is led by a man named Nimrod. And at the Tower of Babel, they said, let's come together because we have one language and one voice, and we'll come together and rebel against God. and God then scattered their languages. And boy, the parallels are unbelievable.
Oh, it is, because this is what the Almighty made an everlasting covenant with Abraham. I mean, right back, we're still back in the book of Genesis, that all this land, the Euphrates and Nile, belongs to the sons of Israel. And now, what are they doing? They're coming together against God's covenant with his covenant people, and it's going to end up the same way. The Tower of Babel is going down. Babylon is going down.
Michael, I want to read something from the U.S. Senate subcommittee report. This is Senator Rob Portman. In the report, he said, "It is completely unacceptable that U.S. taxpayer dollars were used to build a political campaign infrastructure." This is referring to the $350,000 that were given to One Voice to undermine Netanyahu. Political campaign infrastructure that was deployed immediately after the grant ended against the leader of our closest ally in the Middle East. American resources should be used to help our allies in the region, not undermine them. And I just can't believe all this noise that's being made about Putin supposedly intervening in U.S. elections, and the U.S. openly is intervening in Israeli elections.
Yeah, and how they get out of it legally is by, quote, "No, there were no limits placed on post-grant use." That was it. That's how they get away with it, and this is what Kerry has done. This guy is slime. So and yet we have CNN, the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, fully supporting it. Like, yeah, it's okay. They figured out a way around this by their verbiage. Legally, they did that, but legally, they interfered with what Kerry said. It's unconscionable.
Right. Look, so they actually, in this report, in the Senate subcommittee report, they uncovered that One Voice, this organization in Israel, whose motto was anybody but Netanyahu, they actually sent an email to the State Department telling the State Department what their specific intentions were, why they were building the campaign infrastructure using the grant money. Yeah. And the man at the State Department who received the email says, "Well, I never read that email." There's something wrong with the emails.
That's government. Right. Well, part of the problem, they admitted, is that they couldn't prove because they didn't keep their email records, i.e., we erased them. I mean, Hillary Clinton is not only the deleter of the free world, we have the entire State Department that's what they do, undermining Israel, undermining the United States of America to turn it all into their Novus Ordo Seclorum. Unbelievable.
In any event, they found this email, and the man testified and said, "Look, I didn't read that email, so I should have known but didn't know." Bottom line is, whether it was legal by U.S. law or not, it was immoral to interfere in the elections of a democratic nation that's supposed to be your ally. It's the very thing that you're saying that Trump is, this is what the Democrats are saying, that Trump is not legitimate because the Russians interfered in the elections. Trump didn't make Hillary Clinton write those emails and delete emails. Trump didn't make Debbie Wasserman Schultz conspire against Bernie Sanders to put in this candidate that didn't have the mandate even of the Democratic Party. That was all the Democratic Party doing. Trump didn't make the password that was the key to getting all this information. I don't know, if you guys if we talked about this, I forget. But the password that they cracked, the hackers cracked, was password.
It was password.
Right. So the senator or whoever he was, he got this email that said you need to reset.
Didn't take a Russian to figure that one out.
Right. I mean, it really could have been Barron Trump who did it. I mean, the password was password. They were asking to be hacked.
Well, we also, on this very thing, of course, they're trying to make it a scapegoat for the Russians. WikiLeaks, all the people that were leaking this information said, no, the Russians had nothing to do with it, but it was a leak. It was not a hack. And the person that leaked it, we know who leaked it, and this is the man that was found shot to death in Washington, D.C.
Look it up, guys. Rich Seth. He was assassinated almost certainly by Hillary Clinton's people. Right. He was mugged, and they didn't take his watch or money. What? Yeah, right. Well, this is a long chain. I mean, there are over 50 dead bodies surrounding the Clintons, those who are going to testify against them, Vince Foster being one of them, and yet these people have gotten away. Hopefully, Nehemia, hopefully the swamp will get drained, and there are just very few statesmen
left in Washington, D.C., but there are some. There are some good men, there are some good women, but we haven't seen them for a long time. It has just been a cesspool up there, and God, let the fire fall. Let the fire fall, because, as the prophets speak, that's why judgment comes, is so that God's people get released from that kind of corruption. That's why fire and brimstone fell upon the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, because of the pedophilia, what was going on there, the sex slavery, the human trafficking. People don't even stop to think what was going on there is going on in America and is going on among members who are in tight with the Clintons. All this stuff, the swamp has got to get drained, and hopefully it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the U.S. and some of the Western countries have Sodom and Gomorrah beat by in some of the things going on. I mean, it's really draining the swamp. Boy, let's hope. Let's pray. I'm definitely praying for I prayed for Obama to be a righteous man and for God to turn his heart and to do righteousness, and he didn't.
No.
And he hardened his own heart. And I pray for the current administration that the creator of the universe turn their hearts towards truth and righteousness and do positive things.
Amen.
May it be.
Amen.